So as Usama said, we've looked at multiple data sources to be as comprehensive and as deep as we can. So the literature review, Usama went through a little bit, and some of these definitions, the essential definitions, are going to go into a first output. So the first report, which is, the current, our current efforts, almost done. Our advisory board is reviewing it. And the second report is going to go into breaking all of this down by titles and roles in the industry. The last thing that we're going to have in the report that you'll see is what we call a body of knowledge for data science. So what we're doing is we're creating a comprehensive list or a universe of all the skills and knowledge that anybody in the data science field, data analytics field, can be expected to know. Not a single person, but when you combine everybody who works in that, in this space, and you listed the skills that collectively possessed, what does that list look like? So when we say math and science, what kind of math, right? I mean, math is huge. So what is relevant to data science in the topic, under the math heading, for example? Well, what we did on LinkedIn is two things. One is we looked at several hundred job postings. So how companies defined, the various roles that they're advertising. We also looked at several thousand professional profiles on LinkedIn and tried to understand not only their backgrounds, but the kind of skills that they list, endorsed or non-endorsed, so that we can kind of compare how people position themselves or relate their titles to their skills versus what some of these employers are doing. But the main effort, a big effort has been a questionnaire. So we sent out a questionnaire to both professionals, data scientists, machine learning engineers, data analysts, etc., and also to hiring manager or executives, so people who are employing or who are managing teams. So we asked them a bunch of things. This was a very detailed survey. We got 800 plus responses. Which is amazing for this kind of an in-depth, survey. Not only we asked about, some of their training, hiring practices, etc. We also asked them very detailed questions about what kind of skills and knowledge they expect from each of the roles that exist within their organization. Right. Very quick, snapshots. Something that worries us and ties back to some of the things that Usama said. A lot of the companies, they list in terms of their training methods or how people educate themselves. Most of them rely on either self-training or informal on-the-job training. When whatever you make that to be. We asked them what kind of titles that exist in the organization. Data scientist was obviously a common one, but we got a long list. Some of them are really, really creative. And what we're currently working on is, and this is going to go into our second report, is to understand if we can come up with a definition that can be consistently applied across all of this large data set, right? So what you see here is, imagine hundreds of, respondents, definitions of data scientists, etc. We first did a clustering of skills, if you will. So these are automatically generated, data-driven, prototypes. Think of it as almost like genres of music, right? So it's not a person. So we're not saying that these are types of people, but these are types of skills that can be fairly neatly grouped under prototypes. It's a mixed membership model. Happy to share details if you're interested. So this gives us an idea of how this long list of skills can be grouped, and then of course we matched us with titles. Again, work in progress. But when you look at, for example, ML scientists, you see that ML theory, so there's a bunch of stuff under ML theory, right? So these are the prototypes at the top. ML theory is the most critical skill. So when people are responding to this questionnaire, they list ML theory or the skills underneath ML theory as must-haves significantly more than other titles. Right, so that's what's important. So when you look at data scientists, for example, you see basic analysis and data prep, which kind of shows that we still spend 80% of our time on getting the data ready and cleaning and all of that. But you also see MLDS developments, a little bit of ML theory, and a lot of communication and collaboration related skills. So our goal is to actually kind of finalize this. So how actual people, actual titles are made up of in terms of these prototypes, right? But we're not going to stop there because these are averages, right? So this is for an average data scientist. But when you dig down into the data, we see that there are no average data scientists, right? So when you cluster people who label themselves as data scientists, we see, for example, very distinct 3 profiles. So the first profile, so these are all data scientists in our survey, right? So the first profile is, and you see all these prototypes, right? So in different, color codes. This first type of data scientist is expected to know a lot from almost, from a majority of these different areas. So this is probably as close to a unicorn as you can get in terms of our survey. So it's a long bar, right? So long bar means these people are expected, so the must-have skills, it's a long list. Whereas when you look at number 3, yes, some skills are more important, but at the end of the day, that particular type of data scientist is expected to know a lot less. So probably, as we're progressing in this direction, this is where our analysis is heading, we might be grouping this third type of data scientist with another group, and maybe they'll be called, or they should be called, data analysts or something else, right? But calling these 3 types of people the same thing is definitely confusing and is probably the root cause of some of the statistics that Usama shared. So this is the direction that we're taking our analysis. As I said, it's work in progress, and our second report is actually going to come up with proposed definitions for the most common titles in the industry. So what we think, for example, an ML engineer should be expected to know in terms of specific skills and knowledge.